As at the time I drafted my reaction to this meeting between Princella and Rabbi Manis, Princella had not done her review of the meeting. So this is just to let my viewers know, just in case some parts of what I say later on seem a bit off. I have listened to Princella's review of the meeting since then, and it has answered some of my questions, especially when she touched on the parts she disagreed with the rabbi. I was a bit concerned in those areas, and I expressed some of that concern in my transcripts as well. For instance, where he says women come complete, while men come into the world with potential, and it is the duty of the woman to help the man fulfill his potential. I'm paraphrasing, of course. This is a very deadly Caucasian patriarchal rhetoric that has been exported worldwide and is primarily what they base their indoctrination and grooming of wives to abandon all their heart desires and completely adopt all their husband's heart desires. I can't think of anything more wicked and evil because it is not true. Women have aspirations too, and through learning skills, arts and sciences, we become better people. This is also how they have been able to successfully keep women dumb, dependent, weak, and simple-minded. When a woman doesn't develop skills and learn arts and sciences, she would not be able to develop as a human being. As I would express later on, I personally would not engage in this type of conversation on gender wars with a Caucasian male because 1, I have a sound understanding of the psyche of the Caucasian male. I know him. Black women need to avoid this type of conversation with Caucasian males. It could get ugly and even dangerous for you real quick. It is not the same as having this conversation with a black male. There's some level of heated debate you can have with a black male, and the worst that black man can do is curse you. But you can't take such chances with the Caucasian male because he will harm you. 2, gender wars are not a homogeneous problem. When you are dealing with a black male patriarchy, it is totally different from when you are dealing with a Caucasian male patriarchy. I'll take it a little bit further. Black male patriarchy on the African continent is different from black male patriarchy in Europe and other Western societies. Long before the world started suffering the excesses of the Caucasian male patriarchy, black male patriarchy was defeated. This is why when Europeans encountered virtually all so-called black societies, these societies were matriarchal. We need to understand that it was the Caucasian male patriarchy that defeated all the various types of black female matriarchy. It was the Caucasian male and not the black male. This insolence we are seeing and hearing from black men is fueled by the Caucasian male. This is why the most toxic black men are the ones in Europe and other Western societies. So much so that African women are expressing shock at the level of vulgarity and hatred they are seeing on social media from black men in Europe and other Western societies towards black women in general. Thirdly, please read the comments. of the black women and girls under that video of Princella and Rabbi Manis, then you would see these black women and girls really don't understand the nature of the Caucasian male. It was disturbingly full of compliments. A lot of them could not see the differences in Princella and Rabbi Manis's ideologies and reality. So you see why I can't engage in gender conversations with Caucasian males. A lot more focus has to be put into developing the intellectual capacity of black women and girls. Recently, I saw two black women making a mockery of Princella, and all I could think of was Dumb and Dumber. These black female simpletons are dangerous, and the black female intellectual should anticipate a pushback from black female simpletons in addition to patriarchy. Anyway, let's dig right in. Welcome to Amaka Intellectual Factory, where I host podcasts and many other interesting stuff. I had a problem with the title even before I clicked to listen to the video. Princella titled it as Rabbi Manis meets Princella the Queen Maker. So I corrected that with my own title. I don't care if he was the one that hosted her or she is the one that called for the meeting. She posted it on her platform. I would have worded it differently. And what happened to her 10-minute move music before her shows? I still felt like she should have put her 10-minute move music at the start of the meeting, but that's her prerogative. I thought she was too calm. She has to use that same fire she uses on black content creators' platform. If she thought it would have been too shocking for him, she should have notified him before the start of the show about how passionately she runs her shows. Personally, I wouldn't sit with this rabbi or any white male at all for a debate, because I know and understand their position. The only time I would entertain that is if that white man has a skill or knowledge that I can't read and learn out of a book. And even at that, I will take the knowledge he is teaching the same way a mother bird feeds her baby birds. I would chew it down till it's very tender. Then I will feed my audience. The reason is quite simple. Black women are too lost at this point. I see a lot of black female simpletons with a large black female following on social media, and I weep. So when I see a black female influencer like Princella that is intellectually sound, I feel some hope for black women. Without much ado, let's dig right in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have a purpose on the planet to awaken the masses. And I'm really in tune with the problems of the world. And I think that the number one issue in the world is ignorance. And I do believe with more knowledge, there is more power in the hands of the right people. And without a stable individual, there is no stable society. And I think this is really important for all of our survival, not just humans, but the planet in and of itself, the plants, animals, water, because our ignorance in humanity is affecting all life.
I don't know if her message has shifted a bit, but I wouldn't blame her much if it did. She has caught the attention of a large number of simple-minded black women and girls. That's one. Two, she has a huge and disturbing number of white women that listen to her. And if there's one thing Becky knows how to use to control you, it's your money. I have mentioned before that when it comes to patriarchy and matriarchy, you are not looking at homogeneous concepts. There are intricacies that make it such that even within matriarchy, there are matriarchs that are antagonistic to other matriarchs. Without mincing words, white women are hostile to black women. I'm speaking from personal, traumatizing experiences, observations, and history. This message has to be passed across to black women and girls. There's just no other way. That's 2. 3. You want to make the world a better place? Well, history and current affairs are unequivocally clear about those destroying our planet. It's not a mystery. It's only those distracted by the white man's bread and circuses or in denial that are unaware of this. White people have an absolute mindset, while black people have a compromising mindset. And as long as we operate on this paradigm, white people will continue to dominate black people. This is not Amaka speaking. This is a historical fact. Those who fail to study history are bound to repeat history's mistakes. On the flip side, those who study history are bound to repeat history's victories. I'm pretty sure I viewed the video clip she said that brought this rabbi's attention to her. I think I know the video and I set it aside, but just never got to it.
See, it started off with confusion about God.
Mm-hmm.
That became confusion about religion,
Mm-hmm.
which turned into confusion about policy, politics,
Mm-hmm.
leadership.
Yes.
It kept on deteriorating until we've reached the bottom of the barrel. We're confused about gender.
Correct.
And now you can't function, you can't live, you can't, nothing.
Right.
We're wiped out.
He had to start with God. These Abrahamic religions are the biggest pimp game in modern civilization. All over social media, you'll see a bunch of young black women and girls declaring their love for the white male Jesus and total submission of their will to his, asking him to use them. Any woman that talks this way has submitted herself to male domination, abuse, and a life of misery. It is not normal. That we were born into this madness doesn't make it right. At the beginning of the video, the rabbi talks about people being confused a lot. But it's by the design of a known demographic of people. It's not a mystery. Akọ n'uche is an Igbo philosophical thought that translates into English as cunning and common sense. Igbos in their prime encouraged one another to be cunning and have common sense. This is similar to one of my favorite Bible verses. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That is why a black female intellectual revolution is a must if black women are to break out of this mental, spiritual, and physical bondage. I hope she breaks down this video the same way she broke down her video with Jane Idiot. Oops, sorry, I meant Jane Elliott. We'll see. Princella said gender issues and roles is the #1 issue in the world. But this is a control tactic and strategy of patriarchy. It's not about opinions and how we feel. History is very clear on the destructive nature of certain groups of people. It's not me. In fact, white people tell a great deal on themselves. Princella expressed concern that people might think she's extreme because the lies are so much that the truth now seems extreme. This is why history is very important, because we must continue to tell the truth despite the pushback from the lies.
But what the people don't realize is that it took extreme measures to get us here. And the extremity to what has taken place has taken us so far away from the truth that the truth sounds extreme at this point.
Still on my last point, these extreme measures she speaks about can easily be found in historical documents and current affairs. If we want to be honest with ourselves, there's no confusion about the identity of the people destroying and causing pain and misery in the world.
And there was something that you said in your show that was sent to me, that men and women together just causes chaos, right? It's complete dysfunction, and men and women will never truly understand each other.
I mean, study history, ladies. This mixture of both genders is a patriarchal creation. Originally, what we had were islands of only women and islands of only men. It's not just in the popular comic universe known as DC Universe that an island of women exists. The word lesbian is taken from an actual ancient island of only women known as Lesbos. And out of the island of Lesbos comes the famous poetess Sappho, from whose name another synonym for lesbian love is coined: sapphic love. In Mexico, there is Isla Mujeres, translated in English as Island of Women. An island on Lake Victoria in Uganda known as Musambwa in its native tongue, or better known as the Island of Snakes and Men, is inhabited by only snakes and men. Let me bring this home even more. In D. Amory Talbot's book, Women's Mystery of a Primitive People, on the Igbo and Ibibios, published in the early 1900s, she wrote of a part of southern Nigeria where only women lived there. It was hidden away somewhat, but there were people who knew of it, and men could not stay there for long or trespass because they would die. I read this a while ago, but I think I also remember her writing about how her male escort died because he trespassed this women-only territory in southern Nigeria in the early 1900s. Sylvia Leith Ross, when investigating the Igbo Women's War of 1929, published in her book in 1939, African Women, Study of the Igbo of Nigeria, how she was teaching Igbo women she encountered in the hinterland about the concept of marriage and loving a man. She described these Igbo women and their babies as more beautiful than the ones she met at the shores. These hinterland Igbo women did not have a male house in their family compound. They were completely unaware of the idea of a husband or how to love a man. The examples are too many. They will reveal to you that indeed marriage is jabbajantis. That is, marriage is rubbish. Rabbi Manis made some good points. He talked about girls who are exposed to boys too early and how that disrupts their feminine development. I agree. He also said people don't have opinions anymore, they only take sides. I agree. But who are the people that are bringing about this? Take the recent firing of Candace Owens by the Daily Wire just because she chose to have an opinion and not take sides. All of a sudden, the white men that she has spent the whole of her career worshiping fired her. It's not rocket science to know the identity of the people who are nudging us in this direction. It's white men, be them Republican or Democrat. The trans people who are causing chaos are white men who want to be identified as women and permitted to invade female spaces. It is white men who are banning books in the name of squashing feminist agenda. And in so doing, we have found that white men have snuck in classical novels that have nothing to do with feminism into their book banning campaign. So it's pretty obvious they don't want us to be intellectually articulate. Besides, do white men really have a right to ban feminist books? It is a historical fact that they prevented women from voting, owning property, and moving around without male permission. It is still white men who disenfranchised black people. How can you now prevent the people you oppressed from teaching about your oppression? The black men that have gone haywire have done so because of white men. Take the African continent, for instance. It used to be very matriarchal until white men invaded and corrupted the African men. Let us stop this self-imposed amnesia and tell ourselves the truth. If white people can tell on themselves, then we should be able to tell ourselves the truth. Princella said that society is pulling the rug from under men. I agree. But the level of confusion among black women is insane. So it's not enough that patriarchal institutions are crumbling. Black women need to remember who they were and are created to be. Thus, the inevitable need for black female intellectual revolution. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't support this meeting between Princella and Rabbi Manis. It reminds me of the debate between Brother Polite and Rabbi Rosenberg. Right after that debate, things started to go south for Brother Polite. Same with the late Khalid Mohammed. Also, and this is disturbing too, same with the late Professor Catherine Acholano, when a certain rabbi named Shoemaker, who also christened himself Tochukwu, an Igbo name, took interest in her teachings. I don't know what it is about Jews and black liberation. And ethnically, these Jews are Slavic and Eastern Europeans. Don't even dare tell me that our history with them started with the transatlantic slave trade. It goes way, way, way back. Something is definitely amiss. Something is definitely amiss.
In other words, what is a man before you mess him up?
He's just a male. Before
Which is what?
Which is
What would a man be if no one messed him up?
what would a man be? He would just be a wandering phallus looking for a external vessel to transfer his genes into and just try to figure out life. Either he's going to do that and perish or just try to survive. And that's just what he is until you put him in society and say, nope, you can't be that.
It doesn't give men a very good starting point.
It doesn't, but that's the basis of all life begins with the biological code, or the 5 characteristics of life. We all.
Her response to what would a man be before you mess him up is spot on. No further comment. I concur 100%. I love it when she sticks it in. His whole speech on men and women is a pie in the sky. It's not possible, especially with white men. If white men are not dominating, then Houston, we've got a problem. Please study history and observe current affairs. Rabbi Manis said something is wrong when women feel they need to fix things. This is a Western patriarchal construct that didn't even exist in African patriarchy. We have to be careful because these are really dangerous ideologies that have caused destruction over and over in history. It has nothing to do with us. But even the Western symbol of justice is Lady Justice, who is usually portrayed as blindfolded, holding a scale on one hand and a sword on another hand. In Hindu mythology, you have the goddess Devi. Part of her manifestation is executing justice. You also have Kali, the Hindu goddess. In Igbo mythology, we have Allah or Anna, also called Ali or Ani, also known as Ale or Ane, depending on the Igbo dialect. This Igbo goddess was the chief god of all Igbo gods. She was commonly symbolized in art as a woman carrying a baby on one hand with a sword or spear on the other hand. She too executed justice. Before white men came and changed things up, Igbo women were the judges of Igbo land. In Anambra State, for instance, we had the all Igbo women Omo system. So how could Rabbi Manis tell us that women had no business executing justice when that was the primary duty of women before patriarchy's war on women? We need to tell ourselves the truth. And the truth is, you can't measure the relationship between black women and black men with the same yardstick used to measure white men and white women's relationship. African men had no problem with African women's nakedness. They had no problem with African women's leadership. These are purely white male problems that we have inherited. Go and read Sylvia Leith Ross on her study on Igbo women. Go and also read Sonia Bleecker on her study on Igbo people. Sonia Bleecker was amazed at how well Igbos got along with each other and how much Igbo men trusted their well-being in the hands of Igbo women.
We're all making God's garden more beautiful
Yes.
with everything we do.
Yes.
Whoever invented the bread slicer,
Yes.
whoever invented the electric toothbrush,
Right.
you're making God's garden livable,
Yes.
better.
Yes.
You don't realize it.
Right.
You think you're just going to a boring job.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you work in a company and you're at the bottom of the heap, all you do is send out the package
Yes.
in the shipping department.
But what you do is valuable.
To whom?
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yes.
You think you're making the yard nice?
No,
You're satisfying the owner's desire.
Mm-hmm.
You're serving God with everything you do.
Yes.
But you just focused on whether you're making enough money.
Rabbi Manis said we are all making God's garden beautiful with everything we do. I don't know about you, but that sounds like gaslighting to me. What white men are doing in the Congo because of the mineral resources is not making the world a better place. Look at Niger Delta in Nigeria. The water, air, and land are polluted because of white men's exploitation of the mineral resources. I disagree with Rabbi Manis here. We are not all making God's garden beautiful with everything we do. Rather, when we say nothing and go about our 9-to-5 sheepishly, we are making the white man's industrial creation beautiful for him.
Go for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you, and I think our audience is going to love this.
No, we didn't disagree enough, but
Well, it's not so much about disagreeing. It's really about, is it the truth or not?
yes.
I like what she said here. That's why I'm wondering the purpose of this meeting. I might be wrong, but I'm guessing it was set up by some white woman. I've seen this over and over again. The intention is to try to change your mind, to gaslight you or convince you that the truth you see is not what you see. I have to give big ups to Princella because I personally would not agree to this meeting. There are just too many confused black women and girls. I'm looking at the comment section and a lot are praising this meeting without a tangible reason. It's not about having an intellectual banter that flows. Very serious issues are at stake. The quality of our lives have been compromised for a very long time. Okay, I will stop here for now and see if she would do a further breakdown of this meeting. So that's the end of the transcript that I prepared in reaction to Princella's meeting with Rabbi Manis. Remember that I said that I did this before she did her review of that meeting. Please feel free to listen to it over and over again until you actually get my point. Well, that's all I have to say for now. Until next time, take care of your lovely selves. And remember, life is beautiful and worth living.